Hey guys, how's it going? Ed here with another review, and today I'm going to be reviewing Fahrenheit Parfum. You'll notice that in front of me I've got a whole bunch of samples which were very kindly doled out by the lovely sales assistants at John Lewis. Now, I'm not going to get my ugly mug on cam today as I haven't slept properly for the past few nights and I look like death warmed up, which is simply something that the internet does not need to see, so my apologies if this video is a little bit boring. But anyway, on with the review. Fahrenheit Parfum by Christian Dior was first launched in January of 2014. The perfumer behind it is Francois demachy. It comes in a 75ml bottle and retails for £71. The notes, according to Fragrantica, are top notes, licorice, Sicilian mandarin and suede. Middle notes are violet leaf, rum, coriander and cumin. And for the base notes we've got bourbon vanilla. Now inside the little sample card it simply says that the notes are Sicilian mandarin, violet, leather accord and bourbon vanilla absolute. In this case I feel like both descriptions are true, with the Fragrantica note breakdown being more detailed. Now the fragrance opens up on my skin with this masculine floral combination of violet and suede and leather, and it also has a freshness to it along with a very light citric element from the mandarin. I also get the first hints of sweetness which become apparent a few minutes after application. The top notes on my skin last for about 10 to 15 minutes. It's also worth noting that around this time frame there's this very inviting, odd, dirty, spicy element that is virtually undetectable, buried underneath the top notes. In the mid, that mandarin note completely fades away and the violet and leathery suede notes become very apparent, all of which are caressed with this restrained generic vanillic sweetness that slowly starts to become a little bit creamy. The mid is where the parfum starts to remind you of previous incarnations of Fahrenheit, albeit only slightly. The mid lasts for around 30 minutes on my skin, after which the fragrance goes in a slightly different direction and dries down to a sweet bourbon vanillic dominated scent with toned down notes of the violet and leather from before, along with a very faint woodiness as well. I'd best describe the dry down as a sweet, masculine, leathery floral which will last for hours on end. Now, Fahrenheit and I have never really clicked. I've always found it too simple and brutish for my tastes. Despite it not really being my thing, I've always respected the line and understood how important it is in the realm of men's fragrances. And in terms of cultural significance, it's right up there with Brut and Old Spice. Everyone knows the name Fahrenheit. It was first launched in 1988, and it's kind of been like the benchmark for olfactive masculinity. With this version, however, Dior have strayed far away as they could from the original formulation, but not so far as it's completely unrecognisable. If you like the original versions, you'll probably dislike this unless you approach it with a really, really open mind. Now, here's the thing though. Fahrenheit Absolute, which has been discontinued, I thought that wasn't a bad fragrance. It was okay. And I feel like that should have been kept in the Fahrenheit family, and it should have been the last in the line to stay as close to the petroleum gasoline type accord that Fahrenheit is so famed for. But what I really wish that Dior had done is that with this parfum version to have scrapped the original Fahrenheit DNA altogether and come up with a brand new standout accord. Something still masculine and unique, but representative of today, yet still worthy of continuing with the Fahrenheit legacy. If Dior had done that, it would have truly kept the lineup fresh, unique, and secured the Fahrenheit name for future generations, which I think would have been a much better move than simply the diluting the original as much as possible, yet still calling it Fahrenheit. For me, the real kicker is that if this fragrance did not have the Fahrenheit name attached to it, as well as the word parfum scribbled across the front of the bottle, this would be a very forgettable fragrance. It's not that it smells terrible, it's just that overall it's an extremely average fragrance, and there are many other similar designer fragrances out there in the market that are of a similar price, yet do a much better job. However, if you're new to the Fahrenheit brand and you're a big fan of designer fragrances, you may well like this. I see this as a simpler, sweeter, sleeker, safer version of previous members of the Fahrenheit family. This is a nice fragrance for the autumn and winter time, either for the day or evenings, and I can see this becoming, making for a nice date scent. Ultimately, this is a nice designer fragrance that will introduce the Fahrenheit legacy to a whole new generation of guys. Age range for this, I want to say between 18 and 50. In terms of performance, now on my skin, I get around 9 hours for the longevity. So for longevity, I'm going to give it a 3.5 out of 5. The projection of the fragrance on my skin is decent for around the first 7 hours or so, and then after that it settles in a little closer to the skin, so the projection gets a 3.5 out of 5. The sillage on this, again, is nice. It's nothing major to write home about. When you walk past people, they will definitely get a nice whiff of you, but it's not a huge monster when it comes to sillage. So sillage again gets 3.5 out of 5, and for the overall smell is 3.5 out of 5. Now it's not a bad fragrance. Like I said earlier, there's just a lot of other fragrances out there on the market that do a much better job, that perform better, that are in a similar price range. And if I were in the market for one of those fragrances, I would go with one of the alternatives to Fahrenheit Parfum. But overall, I have to say, it's a bit of a letdown for me. Anyway, that's been my little review of Fahrenheit Parfum by Dior. Hope you guys have enjoyed it. Cheers for watching and take care.